What's up guys, Ian Sandusky from Let's Machine back here again for Practical Machinist. Today on Shop Talk, we're going to be talking about some of the reasons why shops fail. Before we do that, make sure you like and subscribe below if you want to see more videos. Let's get into it. Okay guys, so I was on the Practical Machinist forums the other day, as I like to go through there and read some interesting conversations, and I came across one that really spoke to me. And I feel like with everything going on with the pandemic and countries and areas starting to come out of it, that is kind of a very relevant topic right now, and unfortunately is going to be relevant moving forward, at least for a little bit. And that is, why do some shops fail? Now, right off the bat guys, I'm just gonna tell you, if you could answer this question 100%, you wouldn't be a machinist, you'd be a consultant, and you'd be making millions of dollars a year. Because, at the end of the day, these are all just some of the reasons why shops fail. There is no one answer, and there is no one way to prevent it. Businesses, no matter what they are, whether they're machining, whether they're restaurants, whether they're stores, whatever they may be, there's always so many factors at play, and there's such a human factor to it, that kind of wild card, that there is no one reason why things fail. But I just thought it was very interesting some of the reasons people went through and talked about in regards to their opinions on why some shops either they know, they have had, or have been involved with have failed. So the big one, and I think this is very important, I've talked about it a little before, but the first one I saw was failure to diversify. Failing to diversify means that essentially a company, if you are a job shop, let's say you have 3 customers. That means that each customer, let's say, gives you 33% of your business. If one of them tomorrow decides to up and say, do you know what, we don't feel like working with you anymore, we actually got a cheaper price over at this shop over here, thank you very much, we'll see you later, your revenues have now dropped 33%. And guys, that's huge. The general rule I kind of see out there is a lot of people don't like to have a customer have more than 10% of your total business. You want to keep lots of eggs in that basket, or I guess a lot of eggs in a lot of baskets, so that if something goes wrong, you're not out struggling to make up 50% of your profit. At the end of the day guys, if somebody has more than 51% of your business, you're basically almost just a subsidiary of them, and you are kind of at their whims. And at the end of the day, it would probably be better if they bought you out, because then at least there would be some job security there. Failing to diversify is one of the quickest and most frequent ways you can see companies go down. The other flip side to that, if you are a company that produces products, you produce this one product and you're really good at it and you make a lot of money at it while it's happening. All of a sudden something happens and that product isn't relevant anymore. Now it's obsolete. Now it's outdated. It's a modification for an engine that they stopped producing, whatever it may be. All of a sudden you're in that same scenario where you may not be working for one company, but you're working on one specific thing, and now you need to go and find out another product you can make. Something else is going to capture that same lightning in a bottle in that same market. Does it happen? Yeah, companies can pivot all the time and find other things that make them profitable, but the way to avoid that is to diversify in the beginning. Have lots of different kinds of profit streams. So, do you do tool and die maintenance while you also do CNC work? Do you have clients in aerospace, but you also do furniture? It's trying to keep the doors open for you, so if one drops, you can find something new without wondering how you're going to pay the bills next week. So anyways guys, failure to diversify, that's number 1. Number 2 is not maintaining an adequate cash flow. And this I know I've talked about before, but making sure that you are on top of your terms, you are on top of your payments, giving people terms that make sense for your business so you are not paying everything out of pocket. Not maintaining an adequate cash flow is a big problem. As somebody on there said that I thought was very, very apt, cash is just as important as an asset as your building or your machines. Having a cash reserve and having cash flow that makes sense is what makes a business work. If you have a negative cash flow, so you're paying out more than you're taking in, not only is your business not profitable, but it's not sustainable. So making sure you have, I know it sounds simple, like yes, I should have more money coming in than going out, but making sure you are always focusing on that is important, because guys, there are times where you know, you're paying out for this, oh, I just gotta buy material for this job, I just gotta buy material for this job, I just gotta buy material for this job. And all of a sudden you look and you go, oh geez, this is gonna be a bad month because you didn't set things up properly to have your cash flow rolling. So it's something to think about. That's number 2. And that kind of leads into number 3, which is growing too quickly and taking on too much. I know I've said this before, guys, but when you're chasing jobs, make sure they are suited for you. But on top of that, growing too quickly is kind of the other half of that point, and that can be a huge issue. We have been here for 30 years. We have had a lot of changes over the years. We went and bought our first CNC machine in 96. I think we bought the next one first one in 95, second one in 96, another one in 97, and then I think the next one after that was 2005. We have been very conservative personally when it comes to adding new capabilities and adding new machines. We like to kind of redline on the very tip of our production capacity for a long time before we bother adding more capacity. And the reason for that is if you have 4 CNC machines that are always busy, you can always add a second shift. You can always add a third shift. You can always put guys working on weekends. But if you have 6 CNC machines and not enough work to fill them, you now either have payments on 2 machines or 2 machines not making you money. You paid out money for them at one point, right? So in my opinion, and what has served us well, is it is a very risk-averse position to take, but being very conservative with the way we grow. I like to push timelines out a little bit further rather than hire on new people for that same reason. You can't hire someone on, lay them off next week because you got slow, and then hire them on the week after because, you know, the work popped back up. Nobody's gonna deal with that kind of situation. If someone is on your floor and you've hired them, you are paying them. You need to make sure you have the work for them. So making sure you're growing at a rate that makes sense with the kind of consistent work you have coming in and watching it go up at a steady rate. You know, things do fluctuate, but that's very important. One of the things a lot of people said on that Practical Machinist forum post, and that I've seen myself, is when guys hop into a shop, they get really excited, they get promises for contracts, you know, this company's gonna give us all this, they put 6 machines on the floor, and then nothing happens. If they had 2 machines, no problem. They could probably manage to struggle it through. Because they have 30 machines on their floor and 20 guys, all of a sudden that situation gets very unsustainable very, very quickly. So making sure you're growing at a rate that makes sense and not growing too quickly is something that's important, because that is a big reason why shops fail. Probably the last one that I saw repeated on there a bit, and I agreed with as well, is that, and this is an unfortunate reality, not everybody is naturally geared towards being someone who runs a business. And it's kind of like how a lot of the best athletes out there are not the best teachers. You know, like the best boxer in the world is probably not the best boxing coach. Meanwhile, the best boxing coach is probably not the best boxer. The same thing kind of applies for machining businesses. A lot of the best machinists out there may not be suited towards running a business. A lot of the best business owners and management staff out there are probably not the best machinists. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a working knowledge of both, but someone who really prides himself, unless you are a one-man show, who prides himself on working on the floor and making parts and, you know, doing fit and finish, they are not going to have a very good time doing office work most of the time. You know, 75% of my job, maybe even 80% these days, is not spent on the floor. I still get to make parts sometimes. I love jumping on the floor to help out, but my focus now is on things like quoting and doing the books and going out and talking to customers and visiting plants and so on and so forth. My job, if I was not aware that that was what it was going to be, if I started a business and I thought I was going to get to make parts all day, I would be very disappointed and I might not pay attention to it as much. And if you don't pay attention to that business side of things, your business falls apart. And that's something some people on that forum post did point out that they saw happen. The aptitude for being a good machinist and being a good business person do overlap, but there are some critical differences. So at the end of the day, guys, if you do not have a good aptitude for either the machining end of things or the business end of things, there's a lot of ways around it. You can either get a partner that is good at that. You know, a lot of companies function in that there's one guy who's really good at the actual execution of the business, and there's the other guy that handles the actual business end of things. They're both important, can't function without each other. So finding a partner or hiring on the right kind of staff to do that can help you be successful, but be aware that that is a reason why businesses do fail. In conclusion, guys, I think this is a very rough time with COVID, and we're coming out of it. A lot of businesses I know had a lot of struggles throughout this. I do know of some shops that did close. I went through and did some sales a couple weeks ago, and it was shocking to go to these websites just to click on and see, to get some contact info. How many that used to be on my sale list aren't open from even 2 to 3 years ago. So making sure that you're trying to keep positive, keep things moving in a direction where you are not headed towards failure, obviously is going to be the way to keep moving forward, okay? Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope this video has been helpful. In the comments below, I'd like you to post some of the top reasons why you think businesses fail. Can be machining, can be non-machining related. This is a little bit more of a business related topic, so I'd like to hear kind of your top reasons why, in your experience, businesses fail. Okay? Thank you very much for watching, guys. You have a great day.